my first baby, I was induced, and she wasn't coming, and so I ended up having to have an epidural after about 10 hours of labor on Pitocin. And I'll tell you, those 10 hours were not fun. The epidural was a really nice thing at the time, and I think it was probably what saved me from having to have a cesarean birth, because I was able to relax afterward. I was able to just kind of relax, and I was able to sleep and let, you know, things open up, and it ended up being a really good thing for me at the time. But the epidural gave me some nerve damage in my back, and every time I have had a baby since then, I've had back problems after I have my baby. And I'm almost 100% sure that's why, is from that epidural. Anyway, so after having an induction and having my baby that way, it was hard for me to feel like, you know, my body worked, and I didn't know how things were going to turn out. I was a little nervous about having a baby out of the hospital, but at the same time I really wanted to try it and see how things would work without any sort of medication. And so I didn't know when I was in labor, because I hadn't experienced real true labor before, but I did, and it actually went very quickly and very smoothly. And yes, of course it hurt, like labor does. I mean, I don't know as you can escape that, but it was such an empowering experience. Once I was done, I remember thinking I could totally do that again. And I remember feeling like this is, it was just a high. I don't even know how to describe it. Just a high from being like, yeah, I did that. I did that all without medication, and you know, I didn't have to suffer the side effects of having an epidural. My poor first one, she suffered greatly from that epidural, and they say it doesn't affect the baby, but it does. She was so exhausted from this experience that she slept for 9 hours after she was born. The nurses were worried about her blood sugar because she wasn't eating anything. She was too tired. And I think it was from all that stress from the epidural, and then I think some of the medication got in her system as well. So it was really hard, and it was a hard adjustment period for us to kind of get into the swing of things, because all she wanted to do was sleep, and I didn't know what to do with that. And so I feel like with my second, she was alert immediately, and it was so much nicer to be like, okay, my baby's okay, we're not having issues with this. You know, she had you know, I fed her an hour after she was born, and she latched on great, and life was a lot better the second time around. And so I feel like the, you know, giving birth without drugs was a lot more beneficial for us in that situation, and I really liked that a lot better.
I gave birth without drugs, and I did a water birth, and I was so grateful. It was such a beautiful experience. It was intense and hard, and I had to focus, and it was such a deep experience. And after she was born, I felt so powerful, and I'm very, very proud of myself for having done it. And I'm also glad to have been able to be totally aware of what my body was doing and where she was and how far along she was in the birthing process, and to be really in tune to that, because I was able to because I went without medication. And I felt so powerful to do it without medication, and it was a really good exercising in focus and in deep connection with my body, what my body was telling me, what my baby was telling me. And that was really powerful for me, really important.
I have had the experience of giving birth with medication and without. My first one was with, and I was really grateful for it at the time. And then when I found out about awesome coping techniques and I was able to have a baby without medication, I preferred without medication because it was so joyful. I loved the contrast. I loved the intensity. I loved knowing what my body was meant to go through. I loved feeling. I loved being able to move around, and it seems like it just made it all the more joyful when the baby came out. So I've had both experiences, and I've liked them both for different reasons, but great to learn about wonderful coping techniques that help us when we can't have it or don't want to have it, or if it's not working. So.